So we spent a little bit of time picking apart Dollar Tree. And I guess if we really think about it, the state of the world economy is not Dollar Tree's fault. So we are going to let them off the hook. But first, I do have to mention one other shrinkflation thing there, only because I thought it was a little bit comical. And that was name brand dish soap. Um, Not the off brand, but the name brand stuff. It really looked like it was made to go in someone's camper for a little camping trip. Um, I literally looked at it and laughed. However, the off brand dish soap, you can get a really big bottle of that for $1.25. And I know that no off brand dish soap is as good as our favorites. And, but in difficult times, off brand dish soap is going to be a whole lot better than no dish soap. So it's just a good place if you want to stock up on that kind of stuff. I am wanting to show you some things that I personally think are a really good deal there if you're thinking about things from the standpoint of, where a price is going to be 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because a lot of the things you could put back for quite some time. Not to mention the very real possibility that certain things might not be available at all. And what would our life be? How much nicer would it be to have a few creature comforts that we're used to? So some of the things, I have some things on a list here, and one of the things is toothbrushes. They have anywhere from 1 packs to 4 packs. From also, they don't always have all of the same name brands available. They don't always have the same number in a pack available, that type of thing. My personal opinion is I stay away from the 4 packs because for whatever reason, when I go to brush, they want to break off on me for some reason. But if I stick with a 3 pack or lower, I've not had that issue. But I think these are a really good thing to have extras of. And even if you're used to using battery operated toothbrushes, we just don't know what the availability of things are going to be in the future. Also, we don't know, what of our loved ones and family members that we might have said to them, hey, if things get really, really bad, you can come hang out here for a bit. And to have, extra things like this on hand would be a really good idea. Um, Along with that, toothpaste. And again, they don't always have the same brands. I only bought this one because I look at the number of ounces for what I'm buying. They do have name brand toothpaste, but for example, this has 6 ounces, whereas some of the name brand ones might have 4.5. Whatever it's going to be. This was just the best deal that I found. Um, Along those same lines again are these flossers, and really important. As things get difficult, we don't know how difficult it's going to be for dental care in general. So we want to make sure that we know that we have on hand what we're going to need to take care of our teeth. Um, Another thing that I think is this might seem silly to some people, like why would that be on the top of your list? Not just for cold, just a little creature comfort if if you have a cold and you want to rub a little to kind of open up your sinuses. Some people put it on their chest, that type of thing. But a couple of other uses. One is if you're having in rough times to deal with something that is really gross to you and has a smell to it, a trick is to rub a little bit of this under your nose as you're doing it, and you will not smell that. And trust me, not only does it help with that, but it helps with if you tend to get a little queasy, it will help with calming your stomach in those situations. Trust me, I know I've done this. Another thing that people will sometimes do with this. Now, granted, it's not going to work as good as a bug zapper. It's not going to work as good as DEET. But I have done this, and I find it to be very helpful, is using a little bit of this as a bug repellent. I do a lot of gardening, and in the mornings, bugs aren't bad. But if you have a lot of gardening work to do and you're trying to work with the hours that you have and you don't want to be out when it's 100 degrees in the middle of the day, or you can't, um, in the evenings, I'll put a little dab of this in various spots like ankles, wrists, top of the shoulder, a little behind, um, just to kind of keep the bugs away. And I'm telling you, it really works for a period of time. It doesn't work, for if you're going to be outside for 12 hours, it's not going to work for 12 hours. Um, but every time you come in to get a drink, take a bathroom break, whatever, dab a little on. And the thing is $1.25. You're not going to buy bug spray for that. And you might not be able to get it. If you have this on hand, awesome. It doesn't hurt to have bug spray on hand either. Um, and the other, as far as a bug zapper, it's effective, but if you're out there and those mosquitoes are hungry and they haven't gone to the zapper yet, I just find it helpful. Another thing, it's not, they have brushes, but it's not just brushes in general, but I don't know if you can see this, but this particular brush, and the reason is this is the one that I have found to hold up. They have some where this part right here underneath those bristles is kind of cushy. You don't want that one. That one, after so many times of brushing your hair, the cushion part comes unglued and the bristles just kind of pull off, whereas these hold. The only thing I've ever lost one of these to is a dog getting a hold of it and chewing it up. And so outside of that, they last and last and last. And this multi-packs of combs, and you might think to yourself, I don't use combs. However, if you have some family, like I said, that you've mentioned, hey, if things get, or they just know, if it's your kids and they know that if things get really rough, they might be in apartments and you might have enough land to grow some garden, and they show up, you might not want everybody in your family using your hairbrush, to where if you have a couple packs of these on hand, it, for $1.25, doesn't take much space. But this I look at like, I want enough of these to last the rest of my life. The price isn't going to go down ever. And if I went to buy this at any other store, I'm thinking I've priced them. It's going to cost more than 5 times the amount. Well, no, I can't say that. It's going to cost several times the amount. I'll have to relook at it. But yeah, it's significantly more anywhere else. So another thing is shaving cream. This is 12 ounces. It's a nice big bottle. They have smaller bottles too of, I think, name brand. This they don't always have. And for me as a woman, I don't consider it a necessity, but I do like to use it. And I could get by without it, but it is the best price I've found on it. And if you have men in your house that rely on using stuff like this, if I was going to stock up on a comfort item, this is something I would get, and that's where I would get it. The next is hand soap. And for me, this is about the most number of ounces for the dollar. 32 ounces for $1.25. I have not been able to beat that anywhere. And even, if you have a pump you can refill, or you can get, they do sell the smaller ones that have the pump on it. You can get one of those and several of these. This is an item, there's no reason not to think of this like, how long am I going to live? How much soap am I going to need? Because the price isn't going to go down. Shampoo. Again, 32 ounces. They have smaller, they have some other name brands, some other off brands, etc. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, I have to use a very certain kind of shampoo. What I have found for me is I can pretty much use any kind of shampoo. What makes the difference for me is the conditioner. So what I like to do is go there and buy these huge bottles of shampoo. And at this price and this size, you can afford to have some backup on this. And Then what I like to do is with conditioner, I'm not going to spend a big giant bunch of money on conditioner either, but I'll find one that's maybe not as inexpensive as this, but that works well. Um, and what I do is I take my shower, towel dry my hair, then I just put a pea size amount of that better conditioner in my hand, rub it together, rub it. I don't put it on the roots of my hair, but I flip my head upside down, get it everywhere from like the first inch or two down, and it works perfectly. I just leave it in. I don't rinse it out, and it works. And I know everyone's different, and I completely understand that. I'm just sharing something that saves me a ton of money, a lot of money. Another thing I like to get there at the $1.25 tree is they sell the strawberry and raspberry preserves. This is a little more than a pound, 17.6 ounces, in a glass jar. I have not found jelly this cheap anywhere. And, you know, peanut butter and jelly are both good things to stock up on, but that's not the place to get peanut butter. Another oddball thing I like about this is a different level. The top of these, I don't know if you can see that circle, okay? What that indicates is if it's popped up, that means it's been opened, it's not good, whatever. But jars that have that, I personally save this type of jar. And if I'm canning something, and let's say I'm canning, my canner holds 7 quarts, and I have 6 quarts of something in there, and I have a little extra space, I'll take something like this, and if nothing else, I'll put some water that I have run through like a little filter type thing. I put it in here, put the lid on it. Once this is obviously empty, clean, and sanitized, and like I would any other jar, and I can some water. And that is so that in emergency situations, I have some distilled, sterilized, clean water on hand. Um, Now, depending on your filter, is going to determine what it takes out from the tap. Um, but if you end up in a crisis situation and somebody has a wound, it's a really, really good idea to have some sterile water on hand. And this up here, now I'll even use other kind of jars that don't have that, but that's going to tell you that it's sealed. Um, and you can take that information and do with it what you like, for you rebel canners type people out there. This is one of the most important things that I find there, okay? They have the round cylinders of iodized salt, and they also have this Himalayan pink sea salt. The amount that's in here is 1 pound, and in those round canisters, I believe those are a pound as well. And if I'm not mistaken, sometimes they sell those 2 for the price of one of these. A while back, I went to using this kind of salt for table salt, and I personally use this type of salt to can with. The reason is it's a lot less expensive than canning salt. Now, because it has minerals in it, if you see it at the bottom of your jar, there might be a little bit of color down. I personally, that doesn't bother me. That's up to you, and your choice what you want to spend the money on. But if you want to have some salt that you can use for canning on hand, of course, do your own research. But this is my preference. It's $1 for a pound, and it goes quite a long way with that. Now, as far as the iodized salt, a lot of people got away from that. And for me personally, for table salt, not canning, for table salt, I have recently gone back to that. And the reason is because of the conflict that's going on in Europe right now. It's kind of heightened our senses to what do we need to have in our thyroid? What does it need to be full of to help with any type of radiation exposure? And that's iodine. And, you know, there's a medication that can be sold called potassium iodide, not iodine, but potassium iodide, that can be purchased online. But if you don't already have it, it is really difficult to get at this point, because of what's going on in Europe. So My thought is, they will tell you that the iodized table salt is not going to be sufficient in those situations. Number one, it's going to be better than nothing. And number two, so if you on the day there's an issue decide to eat something with a little bit of that salt on it, no, if your thyroid doesn't have that iodine in there, you're not going to be taking in enough, and of course you don't want to down a pound of salt. So, but if you're using it for a period of time, you'll build up more than if you're just using something like this for table salt. But those are your choices. You could, and I know that they actually do make a type of the Himalayan and add iodine to it. It is a lot more expensive. Those are your choices. That's just a little tidbit as far as what goes, through my mind with that type of thing. Another thing is soap. Now, this is the soap I was talking about. This was one I bought a year ago, where you used to get 3 bars for $1. Now, when you go get it, there are 2 bars for $1.25. Also, the other thing I want to mention about this soap is I used to also buy this at Big Lots, and it was $1 there as well. And now it's $2 at Big Lots. So at Dollar Tree, you would get 4 bars for $2.50 versus 3 bars for $2. So it would be a better deal at Big Lots. Not to mention that Big Lots, every 3 months, they put out a coupon for 20% off. It's roughly every 3 months. So in that situation, it would bring the price down a little bit more. I will do a video on the Big Lots situation and what I find to be good bargains there as well. Another thing that I find to be a good bargain at Dollar Tree, $1.25 Tree, is minced garlic. It's canned. This does not have the pop top on the lid, but it'll keep a long time, jarred and canned like this. And spices in rough times, especially if we end up in a position where we have trouble getting them, is a really good thing. I've not found this less expensive anywhere else. So that would probably be my choice. I've seen this type of thing at Aldi, but I believe it's still less expensive at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. Also, there are other spices that they sell there, tend to be a pretty good bargain versus buying them at a grocery store. Let's see here. They also sell both lemon and lime juice, of which a lot of people would not consider that a necessity item. However, if you're doing any canning, there are certain types of things that you would can that are going to call for citric acid or lemon juice. I personally have used lime juice, but you would make your own decision and look that up for yourself. But at the very least, they carry these large 33-ounce bottles of lemon juice for $1.25. I have not seen a better price on that. I don't want to show you the name brand on this because they don't generally have this name brand, but I don't know if you can see, they're just the little hair ties, but these are good ones. And they have shrunk their, you don't get as many of these at this point, but for women that, and even if you don't have long hair in difficult times, if you couldn't get somewhere to get your hair cut, having something to tie your hair back, because I personally do not like my hair in my face. I do wear it down some, but if I do, it's not in my face. So having some of these on hand is good, and it's a lot less expensive than the larger stores for those. This is strange. Okay. Dollar Tree sells this flea and tick shampoo. And last summer, I tested something because I purchased flea and tick collars from Dollar Tree, and I could not get them to stay on. I couldn't get it to stay on my dog. It's the way that it clasps together just does not stay on real well. And the ones from the other types of stores are, well, first of all, the ones at Dollar Tree don't last as long. They're good for just a very short period of time. The ones that last longer, they are so expensive. And in difficult times, even if you could get them, you might be able to get them, you might not. But even if you could get them, they're not really affordable. They're difficult to afford now. And I do buy them while I can, okay? But I'm just saying that if we can't afford to feed our kids, it's going to be really difficult to come up with the money to be buying that collar. And what I experimented with last year was I would give my dog a bath, okay? And then after her bath, I would dry her off, and she does her little shake thing. And then, almost like I do my conditioner, I take just a little pea size amount, the palm of my hand, rub my hands together, and I just rub it into her coat. And for those of you that just have your opinions about that, you're welcome to have your opinions and go do your own show. This is for emergency situations. Whereas somebody that has something like this, that they can do a little bit of something for their dog when they can't get a flea and tick collar, is going to be a whole lot better than somebody that didn't put anything back and can't get one, can't afford it, that type of thing. I'm just mentioning it as a last resort of something that doesn't hurt to have put back. Just a couple more things. Matches. They sell a whole thing of 10, but they also sell a bigger, it's a box of matches for $1.25. And I believe you get more matches in the bigger box. Just depending on what you're using them for. You know, if you're putting together a bug out pack, or if you're putting together, some people use those little Altoids boxes, or little tiny, small tins where you're not going to fit that whole big box in there, and you want the little boxes, or the big box is probably a much better deal. You can get those there. They also have the lighters like this, of which I really like these, for the price. Now, if price isn't an object and availability isn't an object, the thing I really like is one of the small 1 pound propane torches. Just because it doesn't, like, the least little bit of wind and this goes out. But in rough times, have something to start a fire with. And another thing they have that I've found to be the best deal, to me this is not a necessity item, but if you use stuff like this, some people, I'm not one of them, some people for rough times, they want to have a good supply of like paper plates, disposable cups, things that they don't have, because if it's difficult to wash your dishes, that's just one less thing they have to worry about. I tend to not go that route in my thinking, but I do know that it's the least expensive, least expensive place to get things like this. They have large ones. You can get packs of that have 2 or 3, depending on the size, for $1.25. This is the last thing from Dollar Tree I'm going to show you. These are dish tubs, and for $1.25, you're not going to beat the price. But in difficult times, they're going to have some different uses. Obviously, to do dishes in. I know people don't really like to go down this road of thinking sometimes unless they're already there. But if times are difficult, for example, if there's no electricity, after a period of time, water's not running, city sewage isn't running, so you're not going to be putting a bunch of stuff down your drains, or you may need to resort to doing some things outside that have to do with if you're raising your own meat. You could have plenty of electricity, but you need to be outside to handle some business on that end. Having things like this are very handy. It doesn't hurt to have a couple of them put back, but what I've found these to be the most effective for, I'm going to do a video on, has to do with sprouting. And I am not talking about sprouting because I am a fancy pants person that's into all the new fancy things. In fact, I look at how to do that as inexpensively as possible. And this is one of the ways, and we'll do a video on that at some point. So those are my picks for Dollar Tree for things with difficult times. I think they have many other good bargains. If I'm gonna get a card for somebody, that's the most economical place I have found to pick up a birthday card or something like that. Um, there are a number of other things that you can get there, little school supplies, pens and pencils, but those aren't necessarily, to me, the things that are the most important as far as trying to get prepared for difficult times. So I sure do appreciate you hanging out with me, and I hope we can hang out again soon.